Let's look at a basic armbar setup for beginners in Jiu-Jitsu. So we're going to start from a closed guard. He's got both his arms on my hips. From here, I'm going to grab one wrist, and this is the arm I'm going to be attacking. All right, so my other hand is going to reach behind his tricep. Then I'm going to wrap my fingers around here, and I'm going to drag this across. If he's being heavy and not letting me drag it, if I lift my hips up, it's much easier to bring this across. And now, from here, I'm going to close this gap by grabbing his lat here. This stops my opponent getting their arm back here, because if I just lay back down, he's going to slide his arm back. Okay, so I drag this arm, I'm going to reach around here and keep his posture down with this. Now my left foot is going to come onto his hip. And from here, I think about lifting my hips into his armpit and keeping this tight. Now from here, I'm going to think to get my right heel over this shoulder if I can, as I turn a corner. So, and I'm active here, I'm not laying on my back. It's very hard to move if I'm laying flat on my back. So lift, think about getting that heel over and push off that left hip to turn this corner. From here, I'm going to make sure I'm trapping the arm, and then I need to step my left leg over. But if I don't move the head, it's very hard to do. So from here, I'm going to go from having my hips lifted with this foot to hamstring curling and keeping his posture down, which also keeps my hips lifted here. Then I'm going to push his head, step this leg over, and then from here, I want to grab the wrist, or I can keep his wrist behind my shoulder, and then I just need to start lightly bridging up towards the ceiling. But if I'm not lifting my hips the whole time here, it's very easy for them to just slide their elbow back out, and then I'm in trouble. So the whole time, we want to think, when we've got this arm, keeping your hips lifted. All right, even when I switch here, I don't just, as this foot goes to step over, I don't just let go. I keep this clamped down, which is going to keep his arm, and then we're pushing and stepping over. So really think about keeping your hips lifted when you do this. So again, I'm grabbing the wrist, and I think about this arm drag. Sometimes they bury that wrist, so lift, drag, reach over here. Okay, I've got the arm hugged in, nice and trapped. Then my foot goes on his hip, and I'm lifting my hips here into his armpit. Then turn that corner. It's probably the hardest part to get, but we'll do a drill for that in a second. Now I'm clamping this heel over his far shoulder. This is going to take my weight now. Now I push on the head, step over, and then keep the wrist behind the shoulder to lift my hips. Or if you set up a little different, we're making sure I've got the wrist here like a baseball bat. His thumb's pointing up, so I know I'm hyperextending his elbow. Then I just start to lift to get that armbar finish. So as I just said, the hardest part of this is that turn. And if you think about it, if I try and, this is quite common when we start, if I try an armbar and my hips stay in line here, it's actually very hard to do. So I need to be turned around here. This is how I'm going to get my armbar. Obviously I need my hips lifted, but look, I'm in line with his shoulders here. I'm not in line with his spine. So a good drill to do to get started with this is just to have your partner postured up, hold both their wrists in the middle, and I'm going to think to turn that corner. Okay, so staying active again, it's very hard to move if I'm flat on my back. All right, but from here, I want to think to turn, around, come down, step over, hips up. Okay, then from here, I go back to close guard, other foot on the other hip, push around and turn that corner, and around. Okay, and this is a fun drill that you can just keep doing. That's getting you used to turning that corner and being active here, so that when you start to go for those arm bars, you're going to get them much easier. So let's look at the escape for the arm bar so we understand that as well. If I've got my arm trapped here, Diggs is going for the arm bar and he's turning, okay? I can see the arm bar coming here. So first thing I'm going to think is the arm that he's going to arm bar, I'm going to grab my bicep here. And now as he steps this leg over, I'm thinking to grab his hamstrings. It's almost like a rear naked choke style grip. So without his legs, it's this grip here. Okay, so this is the arm getting arm barred. I'm going to grab my bicep and then catch his hamstring as he steps over. So here, I'm going to grab my bicep, he steps over and I catch here. All right, I'm still not safe because it's very easy for him to potentially break my grip and finish the arm bar from here. So I need to get his knees towards his face, because then he can't, if he gets to this point, he can't extend his hips up. It's very hard if he's folded up here. So what I start to do is I start to push his knees towards his face here to stack him, but I need to use as little energy as possible here. So if I start to use this knee behind his hips, every time I close that gap, I can start to step this foot in. So even if we start back here, as I lift the hips, get something behind them. As I lift the hips a bit more, get something behind them. He's stacked here, he's uncomfortable, I'm safe, and it's very hard. Even if he did have the arm here, it's very hard for him to extend his hips. He's gonna have to go so far to actually extend his hips. All right, so I know if I stay heavy and keep his knees towards his face, even if he's super mobile, eventually I'm gonna be able to get free here. So now at this point, I keep my arm bent, but I want to think to get my elbow clear so he can't hyperextend it. So from here, I start to turn towards the ceiling, bring my shoulder out and my elbow out. As soon as my elbow's clear here, I think like I'm doing a big haymaker around here. I'm going to reach around. I don't want to give him space with my hips. I keep my hips close. My other arm can come around his legs, and then I think to pass around here. Okay, so if we look at that from the other angle, so he's setting the armbar up, I'm going to grab my bicep, and then I grab his hamstring, then I start to drive into him. My knee's going behind his hip on the other side here. Drive, drive, drive. Now I'm thinking, get that elbow clear, get it out, like a big haymaker around here. This arm starts to come out, and I keep my hips close, and I'm dropping my pressure down. And now I'm in side control, and I can start to work on progressing my position. Thanks for watching, guys. If you've got any questions on starting Jiu-Jitsu or any beginner's questions, leave them in the comments, and I'm sure someone much more experienced than me is going to answer for you.